Just say Kevin's best friend.
Someone complains, then we'll like to call the meeting of the Ellsworth Township Trustees to order. Roll call. Trustee Spellman.
Present?
Trustee Tillman.
Here.
Trustee Houston here. Let it show that Fiscal Officer Karen Gritty is also here, and Wayne Sarno, Zoning Inspector, is here. Would you please join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Looking for a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the June 21st meeting minutes.
I'll second the motion to accept the minutes.
Trustee Spellman.
Yes.
Trustee Tillman.
Yes.
Trustee Houston, yes. Fiscal report.
May 21st. You said June.
Yeah, May 21st, sorry. Thank you.
Then
I
I
didn't
wrote
even
down
catch-
June.
Yeah,
Hello.
I didn't even catch that.
I've been working a lot.
Okay, now May 29th.
All right,
Okay.
I heard you.
fiscal report.
You have to approve the May 29th.
Oh, the May 29th, the special one, okay. And a motion for the May 29th special meeting.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it. Trustees,
That was the one that was related to the EPA.
Mhm.
I couldn't attend that due to my work schedule.
well, this was the one that was really for the zoning,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
Then
No, he wasn't here.
Okay, then I can make that motion to accept the
Well, I
minutes.
made or you made a motion. Okay, I'll second the motion.
It was already seconded, I'm calling for the vote.
Oh, yeah, no, I already did it.
Yeah.
You remade it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Trustee Spellman.
Yeah.
Trustee Tillman.
Yes.
Trustee Houston, yes.
The 28th meeting I wasn't at. Is that the one with the EPA?
Well, this was the one ahead of it.
Was it?
Same day. It was the same day.
Okay.
You didn't make that.
Didn't make it.
Fiscal report, go ahead, Bob.
Okay. Bank balance as of today is $920,608.95. The audit is 99% completed. There will be a meeting end of June, beginning of mid-July with the auditors. It's a clean audit, there's no problems. And I have an appropriations report here. I can send it to you guys by PDF if you want. Is that the PDF, the appropriations? Okay. Also, we need to make an amendment to, we passed those minutes and we needed to amend them, that we have to put the amount of the final appropriations in the May meeting, because we didn't have it in there. Okay, and that is one thing that needs to be done. So the final appropriations were $1,346.52.10. So we need a motion to add that to those minutes.
Make a motion to amend the minutes by adding that corrected amount that Karen just stated.
Thank you, Marty.
I'll second the motion.
Trustee Spellman.
Yes.
Trustee Tillman.
Yes.
Trustee Houston, yes.
Thank you. I'm done.
You're done. Okay.
Okay.
Maintenance report.
So the electrical generator project for the maintenance department, post office, and sheriff's department has been completed, including the service entrance, or the electrical service on the maintenance building has been removed by Ohio Edison. So we're completely on the fire station and also the generator. The generator was serviced by Professional Engines. On page 2 is their invoice, I have a full report from them, everything that they check and do, and I keep that on file. Their bill was $247.50, and they do that every 6 months. They're servicing it. Took the trailer over to Edinburgh auction. The auction is June 21st on a Saturday. You can go there in person or you can watch it online. Karen, I did give you a copy of the original purchase bill. And they want the original, so if you can find that, that'd be great. The cemetery, we had one burial here in Ellsworth, and I assisted one over in Berlin Township too. Been very busy at the cemetery. We've been resetting the headstones that have fallen over the years, and especially the ones that this past winter with the freeze thaw, there was quite a few down. So it's been an ongoing process. It's been slow because of the weather. Last week was the first week we were able to get the backhoe into some of the center areas of the cemetery to get some of the stones set. So we're working on those. And I've also removed 2 broken tablets, and they're up at the maintenance garage, and I'm going to start working on those, get those back repaired. Jeeburg Cemetery, all the headstones are cleaned up, and that brush pile that's been there for years has been removed. So the cemetery actually is pretty nice. Mower repairs. The oldest mower that we have is a 2003. A spindle failed, and it failed at the worst time, just before Memorial Day. But the bill for that is $262 in parts, and there was also a bill of $62 in labor. And also the starter went on it. The dealer wanted $239. I was able to find a starter here in Salem for $110. And they gave us a great, that was actually, I'll just mention them, Berger Electric. Took it in the afternoon. They called me at 10 o'clock, said they couldn't fix it. They had one on stock. It was a great turnaround service. So that mower's back up and running. The water pressure in the fire hall and the maintenance building. I had a plumber that's been doing the plumbing work here. He's a licensed plumber. He came and looked at that. There's a quote in your packet from him, Mike Calhoun, to install a booster pump, a tank, and to remove the old galvanized tank that's in there. And also, there'll be a pressure switch in there, so we can have both. So if you use water in one building and you're trying to use water in the other building, it'll be equal. We won't have that water pressure issue. So, and the quote for that was $1,647.12. The pond, I've met with 2 contractors for cleaning out the edges there. I believe you have the bids. I also have in your packet, I just received it today, was a quote for just the material to put air conditioning in the fire hall. And that's something that we can start to digest in the future here as we go along. Any questions?
We're talking about the water at the fire station. Has it always been like that? We had a problem? Okay.
Yep. Well, it has been ever since they shut that galvanized tank off. Probably before they shut that off, you shouldn't have had the problem.
No, I don't think so, right? Because we've had problems recently. It's like because people rent the hall, things like that, with the the toilets keeping up, things like that. So there was pressure in the restrooms. So that's where it seems to be noticed the most.
Mhm.
So.
And Mike seems to guarantee that this is going to fix the problem.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I believe so. He's the gentleman that actually was a licensed plumber that worked on the boilers with that other company, and he's also the one that revamped our water system for the EPA this past spring. Well, in January. Was it January or February? In the maintenance mechanical room. So he is licensed,
Sure.
and
And to critique his work,
I think he's a very good plumber.
good on the follow-ups too?
Yes, I'd hire him again in a minute, plus he also knows our system.
Good. What else? What else? And you're gonna, and your start, I don't know if you, did you talk about the water, did you mention that in your report? What we were doing with the pump and the,
No, I did not. We still need to finish up the pond pumping project, where we can pump water from the pond up to the fire department so they can fill the trucks. And it's close to finish, but we need to do something with the water in the manhole to make the electrical connections and also the mechanical connections.
yeah, we were out pumping, we pumped the manhole out, and Matt's gonna get with you maybe, we're gonna talk about lowering the level of the lake a little bit, which seems to be the easiest thing so that Matt can get in there. The electrician's waiting, he's just waiting to get it done, right?
Correct. Yeah, he's ready to go. We need to get that water out so we can make an electrical connection inlet, because it's going to be below water.
Well, we'll see what happens here with the
Yes.
pond project. We may be pumping it even lower than that.
Well, he's worried about getting it when we first start pumping, because he wants to get it down to a certain level so it's not all out, so he can test the pump.
Right.
So
Oh,
on the
okay.
way down to lowering it, if you can just pre-lower it a little bit.
Correct. The gentleman from DNR that took Dan Moss's business over, I've already met with him a couple of times, and that's what he wants to do. He wants to make sure that it's going to pump. He thinks it will, but what we want to do is make sure that that line that we inherited from the pump, from the manhole up to the fire station, that it should be okay for who put it in. I'm sure it's fine, but we just want to make sure that we're going to be okay.
I still think you ought to take one of the fire trucks and hook it on that end
Push it down through.
and push the water backwards to make
Yeah,
sure
we should do
everything,
that.
rather than pushing it that way, push all of it back out.
We'll go-
Tank there though. Inside there a bypass run it.
No, there's a bypass. We can shut that.
Yeah, so we're
Pressure
gonna pull
tank
the
off.
bladder out of the tank.
Right, no, there's two shallow things.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that. I like that idea.
We do that.
Yeah.
So it'll tie in nice if we can coordinate it with lowering the lake and helping them out a little bit.
I think that, fire department's still going to pump the water out of the lake, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So I would, just whenever you guys get together,
Okay.
as far as I'm concerned,
Sure.
because that money's already been approved and everything, so it's,
Correct.
there's no motions or anything needed for that.
But it's at a standstill until we
Right,
get
till
to
we
the
get-
point, just so you know.
So we
That's
get
all.
a bumper down there and finish it up.
Right. Okay.
Do we want to do anything with this one? About the
What's that?
booster pump and tank?
Oh, the pump, well, is this the appropriate time to bring it up, or do it now, or later?
Do it now.
And what about professional insurance? You can include that?
Well, what's the time frame? He said he can do this. Mike,
Oh, you need a motion on this one?
he's ready anytime?
The,
I would
every 12
imagine,
months
yes.
check of the generator.
Oh, okay, I guess I didn't realize we had to make a motion on that too. Thought that was just kind of, okay. One handle on sucker.
Doesn't matter. Maybe so.
All right, well then, I'd make a motion that we, make a motion to pay for the generator service, and also include a motion to go ahead and do the labor and material to install the booster pump and tank. And I don't know what that totals to,
1894.62.
for a total of $1894.62.
I can second that motion.
Trustee Spellman?
Yes.
Trustee Toman?
Yes.
Trustee Houston? Yes. Okay.
Very good.
Anything else under maintenance?
No, well, I got a few things that when it's my turn, I'll bring up more, but that's all right. Go ahead.
Yeah. We're covering that later.
We'll finish the air conditioning. You mentioned we're starting to look at how much it would cost to do this building and the other building, and whether we're going to do it in some, we have bids out, accepting bids, and Matt got one if we do it more in-house kind of thing with some local talent that would be economical for us, for the township, and the price was about, he figured $10,432 plus maybe another $1,000 worth of miscellaneous
Correct.
little parts, and then the labor on top of that. So that's the start. Now we're going to get some formal bids, and we'll rebid. It seems like it's not going to get done this summer yet anyway, because everybody's busy and backed up. But it's on schedule. We're going to do something. Okay? Anything else?
No, nothing for me.
Zoning report?
Of the 2 variance request applications that I had, the variance for the 60-foot lot for a detached garage, and that was located on South Bailey Road. That application was withdrawn, so I located a provision in the ordinance for a detached structure. You construct it within 2.5 feet of the side yard, within 2.5 feet. No variances required, and that would be a detached structure, not an attached. So I approached the homeowner. He wanted to construct it within 1 to 2 feet of the side yard, so that's when the application for variance was made. He agreed to move it to 2.5 feet. So the variance was withdrawn. I issued the permit, and I'll make sure that it's within 2.5 feet of the side yard.
That was Bailey Road?
Pardon me?
Bailey Road? You said that was Bailey Road?
Yes.
I remember the notes here. Okay.
That was 4179 South Bailey.
Okay.
The second variance was on 10542 Berlin Station. That was a landlocked property. That went forward before the Board of Zoning Appeals. The hearing was held on June 10th. That was last night. The applicant wanted to construct a home on that landlocked property, proposed an easement of 25 feet to access that rear property. The Board of Zoning Appeals gave the applicant the opportunity to amend that, the 35-foot strip to the back property, and no easement, that property be reparceled, so it would make that back lot a flag lot with a 35-foot strip. The applicant agreed to that. There was concern of some neighbors as to surface water drainage to that back lot. This is just the first step. The Board of Zoning Appeals did issue the opinion that they approved the application for variance, but again, they have to go through the county, building department, county health department, so they've got quite a few steps to go through in order to build back there. They do have to get the property surveyed and replatted. They'll have to go through the planning commission also to get that approved. So this was just the initial step. But that was approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals. Since my last report on May 21st, there was 2 permits issued. One for a porch at 5417 Salem Warren Road, or Jackson. Another for a porch at 12020 Deal Drive, North Jackson, Ohio. I also had an application for an exemption of a steel building, and that was a agricultural building at 9314 West Akron Canfield Road. That would be Canfield, Ohio. The exemption was sent to the building department. So far, I haven't received that back yet. from the county. I did receive a call from the county because the structure is rather large, but the property from the county auditor, it's zoned agricultural. It's a farm. So I'm waiting for that exemption form back to write the permit. The Gordon zone change, that was heard and approved by the trustees at the last meeting. I did call the Planning Commission to see if there was any further follow-up with the Planning Commission, and I was told that there's nothing further to be done by them. All they need are the minutes from the trustees meeting, and that it will be official with the county as far as the change.
Who are the minutes going to, the Planning Commission or the family?
Planning Commission.
Okay, thank you.
Did receive a sign application for 4 temporary signs by White House. Did receive a check for that, and I had given it to the fiscal officer tonight. Sent the application to White House. I did receive a call from Hively Construction, an inquiry as to a permit fee as to a 5,000-foot building to replace the Coon Hunters building from the fire. That was just an inquiry. I gave them an approximate fee. That's my report.
Fire department.
Okay, since our last meeting, we responded to 2 structure fires, 1 good intent, 1 service call, 12 EMS calls, 4 motor vehicle crashes. We had a total of 20 calls for the month. We had 6 EMS transports, cleaning and maintenance 80 hours, runs 170 hours, drills 40 hours, giving us a total of 288 hours. I just want to know if there was any news from the prosecuting attorney's office yet about the levy for money for turnout gear, because we need some turnout gear.
No, and
So-
I forwarded to you the
Right,
email
I
I
got-
sent to her.
Correct.
And she did say it was approximately a week's
Gotcha.
turnaround time.
Okay. All right, because I can't zip mine up anymore. It's
I'll tell her.
so. Anyways, I'd like to. So, anyways,
Is that because the zipper's broken?
no, it's not because zipper's broken. So, no, it's not broken.
Tried to say that. I'm sorry.
It's all right. Anyways, I need to get approval just throughout the summer so we can get, when we could schedule our pump tests, our ladder tests, and our annual air pack tests. So it's just something we do every year. So we have a third party to do the pump tests. That way they come out, they do maintenance on the pumps. If something happens to them, they certify them. And then that has to be done before the fair, Canfield Fair. So ladder tests it's usually the first week after the fair. They come out and test the ladders. It's a company comes in from Michigan, and they usually hit this area after Labor Day. So just like I said, just to get that approved. And then Warren Fire Equipment, it's time for our annual hydrostatic test on our air bottles. So on some of the air bottles. So, and then the other thing was, Chair, I put a notice in there from Lordstown Fire Department. This is we'd like to look at, Ted and I have been talking about how we can start a junior program again. There's some kids that's inquiring. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but the vocational school is starting a program for juniors and seniors that their junior year they'll get their police certification, and it's called Safety Forces. The senior year they'll get fire and EMT. They'll get their firefighter 2 and their EMT before they graduate from high school. So they could come out of high school already trained. You know what I'm saying? So, and Ted was a junior, I was a junior, So David Blevins, who's on Greenford, started out as a junior. So we've had a lot of young firefighters go through this and be dedicated to our community. I'd like to see about starting that up again, what we'd have to do to get some of these kids to come up. Berlin has a junior program. I brought this thing, Ted got this from Lordstown. This is their requirements, so I brought that, gave you a copy of that. So, like I said, that's something for discussion, if you could look into that and see what we have to do. So we can get, some of these kids to, like I said, start back up. So I see a lot of Berlin Center, we go on a lot of mutual aid calls with them. Their juniors are pretty active with their department. Obviously, they can't drive an apparatus or go in a burning building, things like that. But they're really helpful on fire scenes and emergency scenes. So, but just something to digest. So, and that's all I have.
How long's it been since we've had one, a junior?
It's been, well, let's see, we had the Explorers group about 10 years ago. Or more. That's the last time. We had a junior program. When I first started, the junior program started out to be 18. And then when Gary Kessler and Joe DePorcer joined, they knocked it down to 16. And then for some reason, somewhere along the line, they got rid of it because of insurance reasons or whatever, I'm not sure. Then we started an Explorers group maybe 15 years ago, and that was through the Boy Scouts. And basically, so we had the Explorers group through the Boy Scouts, and we went together with North Jackson. But the problem was, they weren't, the Explorers didn't do, it was like Austin Towns had the Explorers group. You couldn't, they really couldn't do anything. It was kind of like it turned out to be like a social club, and it kind of, some of the kids lost interest because, they weren't allowed to drill on a Monday night. We had to do separate evenings with them, and we switched off and on with North Jackson Fire Department, and it just, to find volunteers to go up on other nights beside Monday nights was kind of tough, and then it just kind of faded away, and we had kids lose interest and stuff. But looking at Berlin's, model and what we used to do, how Berlin does their junior firefighters group, they retain a lot of interest in their fire department. And how we used to run ours, Ted will tell you, he got to do a lot of stuff as a junior. I got to do a lot of stuff as a junior. That's what kept us involved. That's what kept us here.
Can you point us in the direction, Bob, where we're going to get this information, or we can question, let's say you were talking about the Lordstown chief that we talked to, you said you had a pass off from what they have.
Yes.
But I certainly we want to know the liabilities,
Yes.
we want to know about workers' comp.
Absolutely.
So those people will be able to help answer those
Berlin's
questions?
trustees would be another one, so.
Yeah, that would be the only concern I think
Right.
we would have would be,
Yeah,
it's not the same as...
I would just call Jody or Jason Young or,
Call Lordstown.
call Lordstown, yeah. See how they do theirs.
What's the minimum age you said now? Is it 16 now?
Well, ours is 18, but now the junior program, we would like to have start at 16. So,
Well, how about they wouldn't need any extra equipment, would they, that we'd have to buy, like...
no, basically what we did with the kids was we gave them, old turnout gear that, like for example, if we get new turnout gear, some of the old stuff that
It's outdated.
they can wear because they're not going to go into a burning building anyways, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
they can wear stuff that's not approved.
They can help load hose, test hose, the basics for it.
Get equipment off the truck, go first.
It's a really good thing. Lordstown's been doing it for years. We used to do it. That's how I got involved. And Fred was along when I got involved. And that's how. There was a bunch of us. There was the whole group: Chris Pater, Brian Bruner. We all came on to the department that way and worked our way up through. So
Yeah. Chris,
you got to get kids interested. We're running out of manpower.
Yeah, it's hard to get volunteers. And the other thing too, the school, like some of those kids, they call us and
Trustees at the last meeting I did call the Planning Commission to see if there was any further follow-up with the Planning Commission, and I was told that there's nothing further to be done by them. All they need are the minutes from a trustees meeting, and that it will be official with the county as far as the change.
Who are the minutes going to, the planning commission or the family?
Planning Commission.
Okay, thank you.
Did receive a sign application for 4 temporary signs by White House. Did receive a check for that, and I had given it to the fiscal officer tonight. Sent the application to White House. I did receive a call from Hively Construction, an inquiry as to a permit fee as to a 5,000-foot building to replace the Coon Hunters building from the fire. That was just an inquiry. I gave them an approximate fee. That's my report.
Fire department.
Okay, since our last meeting, we responded to 2 structure fires, 1 good intent, 1 service call, 12 EMS calls, 4 motor vehicle crashes. We had a total of 20 calls for the month. We had 6 EMS transports, cleaning and maintenance 80 hours, runs 170 hours, drills 40 hours, giving us a total of 288 hours. I just want to know if there was any news from the prosecuting attorney's office yet about the levy for money for turnout gear, because we need some turnout gear.
No, and
So-
I forwarded to you the
Right,
email
I
I
got-
sent to her.
Correct.
And she did say it was approximately a week's
Gotcha.
turnaround time.
Okay. All right, because I can't zip mine up anymore. It's
I'll tell her.
so. Anyways, I'd like to. So, anyways.
Is that because the zipper's broken?
No, it's not because it's broken. So, no, it's not broken.
Tried to say that. Sorry.
It's all right. Anyways, I need to get approval throughout the summer so we can get, when we could schedule our pump tests, our ladder tests, and our annual air pack tests. So it's just something we do every year. So we have a third party to do the pump tests. That way they come out, they do maintenance on the pumps. If something happens to them, they certify them. And then that has to be done before the fair, the Campfield Fair. So ladder tests it's usually the first week after the fair. They come out and test the ladders. It's a company comes in from Michigan, and they usually hit this area after Labor Day. So just like I said, just to get that approved. And then Warren Fire Equipment, it's time for our annual hydrostatic test on our air bottles. So on some of the air bottles. So, and then the other thing was, Chair, I put a notice in there from Lordstown Fire Department. This is for, we'd like to look at, Ted and I have been talking about how we can start a junior program again. There's some kids that's inquiring. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but the vocational school is starting a program for juniors and seniors that their junior year they'll get their police certification, and it's called Safety Forces. The senior year they'll get fire and EMT. They'll get their firefighter 2 and their EMT before they graduate from high school. So they could come out of high school already trained. You know what I'm saying? So, and Ted was a junior, I was a junior, so David Blevins, who's on Greenford, started out as a junior. So we've had a lot of young firefighters go through this and be dedicated to our community. I'd like to see about starting that up again, what we have to do to get some of these kids to come up. Berlin has a junior program. I brought this thing, Ted got this from Lordstown. This is their requirements, so I brought that, gave you a copy of that. So, like I said, that's something for discussion, if you could look into that and see what we have to do. So we can get, some of these kids to, like I said, start back up, So I see a lot at Berlin Center, we go on a lot of mutual aid calls with them. Their juniors are pretty active with their department. Obviously, they can't drive an apparatus or go in a burning building, things like that. But they're really helpful on fire scenes and emergency scenes. So, but just something to digest. So, and that's all I have.
How long's it been since we've had one, a junior?
It's been, well, let's see, we had the Explorers group about 10 years ago. Or more. That's the last time. We had a junior program. When I first started, the junior program started out to be 18. And then when Gary Kessler and Joe DePorster joined, they knocked it down to 16. And then for some reason, somewhere along the line, they got rid of it because of insurance reasons or whatever, I'm not sure. Then we started an Explorers group maybe 15 years ago, and that was through the Boy Scouts. And basically, so we had the Explorers group through the Boy Scouts, and we went together with North Jackson. But the problem was, they weren't, the Explorers didn't do, it was like Austin Towns that had the Explorers group. You couldn't, they really couldn't do anything. It was kind of like it turned out to be like a social club, and some of the kids lost interest because, they weren't allowed to drill on a Monday night. We had to do separate evenings with them, and we switched off and on with North Jackson Fire Department, and it just, to find volunteers to go up on other nights beside Monday nights was kind of tough, and then it just kind of faded away, and we had kids lose interest and stuff. But looking at Berlin's, model and what we used to do, how Berlin does their junior firefighters group, they retain a lot of interest in their fire department. And how we used to run ours, Ted will tell you, he got to do a lot of stuff as a junior. I got to do a lot of stuff as a junior. That's what kept us involved. That's what, kept us here.
Can you point us in the direction, Bob, where we're going to get this information, or we can question, let's say you were talking about the Lordstown chief that we talked to, you said you had a pass-off from what they have. Yes. But I certainly we want to know the liabilities, yes. We want to know about workers' comp. So those people will be able to help answer those questions.
Trustees would be another one, so.
Yeah, that would be the only concern I think we would have would be, it's not the same.
I would just call Jody or Jason Young or,
Call Lordstown.
Call Lordstown, yeah. See how they do theirs.
What's the minimum age you said now?
16.
Is it 16 now?
Well, ours is 18. But now the junior program, we would like to have start at 16. So.
Well, how about they wouldn't need any extra equipment, would they, that we'd have to buy, like?
No, basically what we did with the kids was we gave them old turnout gear that, like for example, if we get new turnout gear, some of the old stuff that
is outdated
they can wear because they're not going to go into a burning building anyways, you know what I'm saying? So they can wear stuff that's not approved.
They can help load hose, test hose, the basics for it.
Get equipment off the truck, go first.
It's a really good thing. Lordstown's been doing it for years. We used to do it. That's how I got involved. And Fred was along when I got involved, and that's how. There was a bunch of us. There was the whole group: Chris Pater, Brian Bruner. We all came on to the department that way and worked our way up through. So
yeah, Chris.
You got to get kids interested. We're running out of manpower.
We are. It's hard to get volunteers. And the other thing too, the school. Like some of those kids, they call us and say, we need a public service project for a social studies thing or whatever. They'll come and wash the trucks or they get involved in this. You know what I mean? They can get their projects and help the community at the same time. So.
Sounds like a good idea. We just have to tweak it to the modern age with liability.
Absolutely, I understand.
So as long as it's
but this, like I said, I agree. I think, Lordstown seems to be really up to date with this. That's who I'd contact first.
Okay.
And I think it says in there, I could be wrong, but I think it said in there about, watching, they got to turn the report cards in and everything like that to the chief to
Right.
go through and maintain their grades and stuff.
I have on my list chair of trustees, I can call them when I
Good.
get the information.
Thank you.
Is that
Okay.
Good, yeah.
Awesome. That's all I have.
EMS report, you gonna do it, or?
Basically, we had just the 6 runs, the 6 transports for the month. And that's all I have. There were no new checks, there were nothing to turn in tonight, so the only thing we got was the Verizon bill, their statement from Verizon, and that was it.
Okay. That it then?
Do you want approval, those motions for your testing?
I mean,
Do you have,
We don't, I don't know what the price is.
you don't know what the amount is?
We don't know what the amount is because, if they need to do service on the pump, basically, it's mandated by the state that we do pump tests every year.
Right.
And ladder tests and, the hose testing we do ourselves, but the air pack test, we send them up to War and Fire Equipment. I'm not really sure. It's just an annual thing. And it varies.
Yeah.
And it's part of the maintenance program, so I don't know, it would come out of the maintenance budget anyways.
I hesitate to make a motion when we don't have an amount to
Well,
go
I
with it.
agree,
so.
and in the past, we haven't even motioned it. Bob has said the tests were done, here's the invoice.
Yeah, if I could just, I guess the question is then, if I could get just approval to get this done, that's all.
Well, these are mandates and we have timetable to meet them, so.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, well, can we make a motion to giving the approval?
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, well then, I'll make a motion that we give you the approval to do those things and bring us back the bill.
Gotcha, thanks.
And keeping those costs relevant, keeping them down, and I'll second that motion Fred made.
Trustee Spellman,
Yes.
trustee Tillman,
Yes.
trustee Houston, yes. So now you're free and clear to go ahead and do
Good
it.
deal, thank you.
All right. Committee reports. I'll start. I just have a couple things. One thing I want Bobby, don't forget I asked you about cleaning that room out. We're getting to the point where we really need to get moving on that. I think we're going to move some other stuff into that room, so see what you can do for me on that.
There's the storage room across from the kitchen.
Where are you going to put that stuff?
I don't know.
What's in the kitchen anyway?
Well, if I could make a suggestion, I had a nice viewing with you, the EMS room, and it doesn't seem like it's going too far, so maybe you can put a little bit of it in there for a while until it progresses along. There seems to be a lot of room in there.
Like, you can't put the stuff in with the EMS equipment.
No.
Well, there's
Maybe put turnout gear upstairs or something like.
Oh, there's
Yeah,
that
we
extra
could,
gear.
we could turn out, yeah, we could put the turnout gear upstairs.
But
I mean,
that's
like
not-
the computers and the printers and stuff, I mean,
Some of the printers we got, the copy.
refresh when I looked at it, is there anything that's actively used for right now there?
For what?
The EMS room.
it has all our EMS equipment in
It has
it.
equipment in it.
Every box in there's labeled with, like IV solution, IVs,
Right.
needles.
Well, maybe you could look at it. It seemed like it was a pretty big room and had a lot of space.
Got
like that.
desk and cabinets.
Yeah, I don't think
Maybe
it's
a box
got-
of potato chips on the one part.
Well, that was the guys working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, just don't forget about it. Please see what
Okay.
you can do about that. The only other thing I would say was, for the people that weren't at the land use policy plan the other night, why, I wish you would have been there. As far as I'm concerned, why, the zoning commission's doing a pretty good job on it. And once it gets turned over to us, then the trustees will decide how we want to handle it, and how many hearings or whatever, but it's moving along good, and I'm satisfied with it. And that's about all I have.
Okay, good, yeah.
I'm trying to find my guy.
Comment about that? Land use plan?
Comment
No,
about
it
anything.
was a good meeting, could have been a little better attended by the public, but there has been a lot of input I've received personally, as I'm sure you guys have, about different issues, land use plan wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're taking everything, and it's going to need some tweaking, but it's on a good path.
And I would certainly say that, I appreciate what the board has done, and certainly I know that I got 2 new trustees that I tried to give a compliment the other night that, for 6 months gone to try to bring something that has taken years. It's been like herding cats, this project. We have it, and it seems to be going 100 miles an hour in the last 2 months. We met April 3rd as the trustees of the first public meeting that we were part of with the zoning commission had been working on it. One of the things that happened April 3rd was that the trustees were insistent that we involve the public. We did the mailing. In that mailing, we get an A+ for that. We have never spent the money and tried to connect with the public. I did get 2 phone calls about somebody that didn't get them. I wasn't on the mailing committee. But we only had 11 days for those people to adjust and get there, change things with baseball, whatever it is. But 22 people were there, and I could see that. I certainly know that I don't want to lose the asset of having 12 people in a room. That include the commission, Mr. Samarigan, and our zoning inspector, who's only be able to attend one of those meetings, and a few of the workshops because his hours conflict with that. That ball will get bounced into this court, and I would love for us to have a little more time for this board to, whether we and I know Fred said that we can modify, accept, or reject. I still think, though, more people in the room that have some things to say about this, it's better, and for us to get it right, not to get it fast, get it right, is kind of essential in this thing. I see words that say carefully monitored, carefully controlled, should be channeled. To me, it says who, how it gets to him, how it gets to us, where we go with that. I think we need more people in the room, a lot less people in the room. I think I would suggest the board, if we allow part of the land use plan to be open to the next 2 meetings and publicize that at our regular meeting, and then be done with it. But we've given that opportunity to the public. I still think I want to be more comfortable with it and know more about it and know how we have target dates, target projects. I would like to know how we can use this land use plan to drive those economic things. One of the board members talked about grants and things. I would, instead of just saying this is all, and if people aren't with the land use plan, you're going to decide what you want to do your part. We're using a vision in an area and saying that's what we have a vision for our township. But when we do that, I want to make sure that we have components in there that says these people may want to do it, but if they don't want to participate on this part, why is it included in it? Those people can drive. We want some natural gas. I think that everybody would like to have an alternative. I think we'd like to see some water and sewer extension. We're in the middle of a project on that now, so that's how I feel about it, and always behind my board, always. But I think to slow down and get it right is what we need to do for a couple meetings. When they meetings, I want to be more prepared. I think everybody up on this front table wants to be more prepared. I don't think we are when the largest part of the group walks out of the room and says, here it is, guys. I don't know if that's a recipe to say, how do we target it? How do we put this in place? How does our zoning inspector answer the questions when the people go there? We need to know those things. We need to know how to do those things. Therefore, we can speak honestly and truthfully to the public. Until we do that, I don't think it's a final draft. So thanks for allowing my opinion.
First time you said something reasonable.
One thing
Thanks,
I would
Larry.
like to say about the land use
You ought to
policy,
try that.
and one of the things that seemed to be a concern the other night, and it's one that I will tell you I personally wouldn't go along with. Some people felt that we were going to wave a wand and change zoning restrictions on property. That is never going to happen, from my part anyways. It's always going to be, if you want a zoning change, it's going to be the same after the land use policy is the way it is now. So I don't want people to think that any way that we're going to wave our wand and this area is now going to become business and this area is going to become industrial. That's my opinion anyways. I'm only speaking for myself.
Same one, I have the same one, so, good clarification.
Yes. That seemed to be, the other night seemed to be a little bit of a sticking point, so. Okay.
All your committee report.
Oh, and the briefs, well, I did bits of it with Matt, but just a couple more things. I'm still working on the rekeying of the locks, been actively working with Allied Locksmith, and they'll be out next week or so. That's why the room is kind of important, because we're going to do the zoning office probably first in that room. So hopefully we can work something out with all that stuff.
Next week?
No, within the next week or so,
Okay.
week or two.
Yeah.
What all? I mean, you're saying all the stuff in there, but like in there's like stuff from the pancake breakfast. I mean, are you talking about getting all that stuff out of there?
What we talked about before was like half of it.
Yeah, I know, but what we're trying to do is, the goal, I think what we were talking about doing was moving all the records that we have in the township and putting them all in a secure location instead of being back here kind of haphazard and just a little control over it all. So we'll accommodate you in whatever way we could.
It's even be more critical, guys. We have a record retention plan. We have a policy that we have to do. And I've never seen a township that doesn't have an office somewhere. And I think that's a good place for it. About room, I think we can find room. And maybe it's not as convenient, but we can try to.
The kitchen stuff, I mean, you know, like, like at least half of it, I would say, I mean, you've been in it, you got the freezer and all the kitchen, the pancake breakfast stuff and the pots and pans, and, because we can't put it in the kitchen because it's come up missing.
Well, what we're saying is we're not just telling you to go get it out. We'll work with you a little bit and find creative solutions and try to get something done, okay?
In the upstairs rooms, we can.
Yeah, there's upstairs a little room, maybe in the upstairs. We'll figure something out.
Listen,
There's a corner to share something.
guys,
Yeah,
even
but
better
you know, I
cabinets
think
for your
about
stuff, like that, your
the toting you're going to
perishables.
have to do. If you put all that stuff that we use for pancake breakfast in
Yeah,
the
it's
other
like-
building.
Well, the other thing too is like, I mean, here's, like, for example, what we do is we'll keep ice and water and things like that in that freezer in that locked room. And that way, you know, if we get a big fire, you know, like I know Margaret had a key that she could get into that room, bring us cold, you know, water or ice or something, you know, on hot days, things like that.
Yeah, we
You know.
understand, I mean, all the concerns, but it's a good room to use for what we want to, and really you can put an ice machine a lot of different places, I mean, a freezer, or we'll help you try to figure out creative solutions, so it's not painful.
Well, let's meet, I can't, this week is not
No,
good,
well,
but next week.
it's coming down the road soon, and it doesn't mean this week, next week, within the near future.
How would you guys feel about it?
Yeah, we could.
Giving you a couple options,
What's that?
some ideas. We'll throw them out there and, you know, in the
Yeah.
next few weeks, but I certainly think we need to
There seems to be a
start
lot
the
of,
process like Fred
We might
said.
have to purchase some locked cabinets then.
well, something like that, yeah,
Okay.
we'll work with you on something like that.
All right.
Shelving.
But it's kind of a waste for where the room is and what it is, to just keep it for a few little food items and that are valuable, but still.
I'm not thinking about food items, I'm thinking about the kitchen equipment we have in there. We got KitchenAid mixer, there's freezer in there, there's a lot of,
Yeah, it's a 3 or 4 foot freezer. We'll look at it. It's been
Yeah.
thinned out a lot since we got rid of all the old printers that were
Correct.
in there. I mean, there was,
That's
and
right.
there's still, I think, a few more that we overlooked. I don't know if you guys were keeping them. There's another monitor and another.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll help you look through it a little bit.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
and maybe all the fire gear, is that all just extra gear that's in
That's
there?
extra gear.
That you don't use every day?
Now that could go upstairs.
Yeah, up in your room
That could go up
upstairs.
in a loft.
So by the time you wipe that out, wipe a few more things out, it's workable, it looks like, and we'll work with you.
Okay.
We might even be able, I was just sitting here thinking, and I'll throw this out, we might even be able to split that room up a little bit by putting a cage in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
You know what I'm
Something
saying?
creative, but something's gotta happen with that.
And even back in the EMS office, if there's another access from your side to get back and petition part of that off, that's a big room, everybody got a room but us. That's okay, you know? It's been like that for years, and I'm not pushing the issue, but I think it's logical, it's fair, we'll make a win-win on this.
We'll work something
We'll
out.
work
All I started this whole conversation
Okay.
was saying is don't forget about it because
No, I was doing
it's
the report.
yeah.
It was with the locks and keys where it started, so, okay, that's underway. Locks and keys are underway, but that's the first area we wanted to hit. And we're working on a sign, Matt and I are working on trying to find a creative solution to improving our road sign and advertising public events. So we're actively working on that, seems like every day, getting prices and trying to figure out the best approach. And we already talked about the lake project, so we're going to work with the chief and get that lowered. Let's see, we did the Edinburgh auction and the air conditioning. We touched on most of my stuff already, that's good. Business, and we did handle the Lou Smith lawn problem today too, so
Yeah.
that was good, yeah.
Yes, okay.
Excellent.
Oh, well, that
For me.
Okay.
Okay, well, I have one other item that I did want to bring up, and that is that, and since the chief's here, it has to do with the BP account. What do we use the BP account for?
Oh, I could answer that.
Okay, well, wherever.
The BP account was set up because when the fire squad goes out on a call, a lot of times when they come back in, these two gas stations are closed and they need to refuel. So we established the BP account so that they could go refuel at any gas station on their way home.
Any BP gas station?
Yes.
Okay, well, now that we have a Marathon credit card,
Well, those are only at Marathon and Speedway, right?
yeah, but it seems like they're all over the place.
But since you have a marathon card,
Where is, can you
The
use
department,
it?
they're all your cards.
I know they have the marathon card. My question is, are those usable anywhere other than, where's there a marathon?
now what I was going to say was,
Speedway, Marathon, I mean, they're all,
doesn't Peter leave the pumps on?
no,
No.
Oh, he doesn't?
it's against the law to leave them on at night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, fire-wise, unless you have fire suppression system,
Yeah,
you know.
he doesn't.
Oh, okay. Some of them
But it is
do, I
good that the new card on the back of it is good for Speedway, I think Flying J, it's
Which
good.
is covered.
Correct. There's several, there's like 6 or 7, besides the marathon, there are 6 or 7
Are
other.
they that are local, like
Yes,
if you
ma'am.
go?
Yes,
So
so we're coming from Youngstown, they can swing by 46 and get off there, like by one of the truck stops and
I
get
think they
fuel.
would be easier to find along than a BP perhaps.
Right.
But the point,
The reason we had the BP also, because at the time, the rates, the rate was a lower rate, and it was just a good deal through BP, and that's why we got, because that was kind of our first fleet card, because only, up to that time, we only had the golf cart, so we had nothing else.
And we got that through Lane, we found out about it through Lanes.
Correct, and that's how we got the BP card, and then that just kind of, now we have the marathon, and
yeah, all right, well, we
can
kind of went
get rid of
along,
BP
we went a long way to get to what I was trying to get to, but that's good. I mean, that's all needed information on that.
Yeah.
Because what I was going to bring up was that BP card cost us $10 a month, whether we use it or not. And we had a late charge recently, so I called today seeing if they would waive it and finding out about our card. And it turns out that he tells me historically we buy, our average is 18 gallons a month off of that card. So at $10 a month minimum, we're paying an extra 55 or 60 cent surcharge per gallon.
I couldn't get to work the other day.
yeah, okay.
Actually, we
So-
paid for it.
Yeah, plus if
I forgot.
Yeah.
plus if for some reason they don't get the bill on time, there's a minimum $75 late fee, which has happened one time just recently by us. But, so knowing all that, it doesn't seem like a reasonable thing to
Since
keep
we got the
around.
new fleet card, yeah, just get rid of them.
Did you ask if there's no cost to,
Well, I didn't ask about if there's a cost of termination, and
you
who
know,
knows?
sometimes, if it's
Well, I don't know if it's on the
$75 late fee, there probably is.
Well, maybe, there's
You
probably
know?
a contract that maybe you could look up and see if it's in the fine print. Do you have a contract with them? Or something that you got when you signed up?
Well, then I think we ought to, I think we ought to close it unless there's, let's just close it.
I don't
If
think
there's
it's
a,
needed anymore,
yeah, if there's a charge, we might as well pay it and be done with it as to get the $10 a month.
Are you going to take care of closing it?
Well, no.
Well, I mean, you made all the
Well,
other,
no, I just made about 10 minutes worth of phone calls. It's, I mean, it's not like, maybe if you're in control of it, you could close it, I guess. Is that right, or do you want one of us to close it?
you go ahead and close it.
Well, here's the thing. I don't have I don't even know the card number when I talked. I got all this information without.
You have the account number,
It
don't
doesn't
you?
have a card number on there, and
No, but it has
I don't
the
know
account?
this. I don't know that there's somebody set up a administration account with passwords and everything, and I don't have all that.
Wasn't me, it was Laura Lewis.
Well, is it in your file somewhere?
I'll look.
All that stuff, because I can't. They
I
won't.
will look, but I honestly can't tell you.
Yeah. I just found all that out kind of without.
Unknown PIs. All right.
Okay. We have a fire call. Okay.
Fire call or EMS call?
It's a accident, motor vehicle accident.
You want to go? Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to find you the BP contract.
Yeah, just with the
Feasible.
numbers and everything, and then,
If I find it, I will scan and send it to you.
very good.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else, Bob?
Where did I leave off? Let's see, residence name. No, I think we pretty much covered my end. Good. Oh, wait, one other thing, Artie,
Do your lake survey.
yeah, the lake, Artie and I did go out on the canoe the other day.
And it wasn't fair, he took pictures, and I think he's gonna use them at the fair display, and I will not let them.
We did map out the lake and check its depth, because there was always a question how deep it was. Everybody had a different opinion. So it seems like it's 13 to 14 feet deep in the middle. And the slope is pretty steep on the sides. The cattails have at least 6 feet of water below them from where they're at. So we're going to use all that information to determine how to clean up the lake. We're going to bring that up pretty soon? Next?
Yep,
Yeah.
that's
So that's all. So that was the last part of the puzzle, is to figure out what was up with the lake. Okay? Artie paddled and I stuck.
How big are the fish?
We
We didn't see many fish.
couldn't fit Fred in the boat.
You had to stay on shore? Did you have to
Safety
stay on?
net.
I wasn't even there.
You were where?
Yeah,
They were playing.
whatever.
Okay, I'm done with mine.
Artie, your committee?
Okay, last month, the trustees talked about in a sensible way about this old tractor we had, this John Deere 110, it's a 1971. If we would have put that in the trailer that you took to the auction, we'd have probably been having a hazmat team follow, or they would have fell through the bottom of that. So the trustees said, go ahead and look into that, how we get this. We talked about Jackson Milton, nonprofit, was interested in building it with some other pieces they had, and maybe make something out of it. I looked under that, and an acceptance and deposition of property, it's 50510 in Ohio Revised Code. Before I make this resolution, what it says about, it's very legal, and they allow us to do this, is to donate that to a nonprofit. But we're going to have to make a resolution and include guidelines, procedures for the board's consider necessary to implement the donation program. It shall indicate whether the township conducts the donation program, or the board will contact or make a contact or a representative to conduct it. I thought that the trustee that's not the chair or the vice chair be the guy that be the representative, which would be me this year. In that case, we could say that the representative, and I'd have to list my name and who to contact, and the program. What I'm thinking is we could start from here on with some pictures, some photos, of paper that's hold harmless, that once we give this piece of equipment, they don't come back and say, you know, I got on it and I got skewed into behind here. The donation is final with no responsibility upon that acceptance. So it doesn't have to be much, but it should be, you know, this will probably come up with the auditor, and the auditor is going to say that those pieces are all together. So I'd like to make a resolution to donate property to an eligible non-profit organization located in the state, which is the Jackson Milton Booster Club, Athletic Booster Club, and they have a federal income tax number that they faxed me, which is pursuant to the 26 USC, and Karen, I'm going to give you all this. It's a 501A and a 501(c). So this resolution is contingent upon this policy that you guys will accept it. Do you think that that's good enough now? That we just take pictures, we sign them hold harmless, it's there, and the donation's final from that point, that they don't come back and say that. That would satisfy this. We have something that's a benchmark that we can go more or less as we go on. If you guys think that that's okay, and it says it require a representative, a contact person, which would be me this year, and then the next year whoever is the third person, we could do it that way, guys. And that would make that, satisfy that representative. So.
Sounds good.
That was good, friend.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay, so then I'd like to make a resolution to donate the 1971 John Deere tractor of no value to the Jackson Milton Athletic Boosters, pending all the proper paperwork that's with it and following the guidelines that we have just set up.
Okay, I'll second the motion.
Trustee Spellman?
Yes.
Trustee Toman?
Yes.
Trustee Houston, yes.
And Karen, I'll put this all together and get it in your thing, okay?
Oh, cool, thank you.
Okay. Yeah,
I
that's too
appreciate
much to
that.
scribe down now.
I am thinking, I hope I got on the recorder.
We talked about evaluating employees. The next item I had was the chair sent us a really good form. It evaluates a person over from a 0 to a 5. I think that those are pretty good, and it left comments, which I think if you evaluate somebody, I think you want to have dialogue with them. So I think this board needs to talk about evaluation of employees. We have somebody that, and the starting of that, because we do it with new people and people that have been there a while. And you guys felt that was a pretty
Sure,
good?
we should, evaluation, sure.
It was pretty good. So we can leave it loose, but I think then we have to figure the process of doing it. Do we individually meet with the guys at leisure? Maybe this might take 2 months to do that. But we stop up, I think all of us have frequency that we would see the employees. And at that time, we would have those maybe put on our desk where we would pull them out and do our evaluation, and then we would comprise those and then talk about, maybe go to executive session, talk about it and kind of finalize it.
Sounds like a plan.
Yep.
So I will look at those, Fred. I think I still have it. I don't know if I threw that away. I'll check with my IT person. That landfill meeting I didn't get to attend. We've been on that. Ellsworth Township, EPA used our township to facilitate. Our trustees hosted for the EPA about the landfills in our township. We have a landfill that they announced had some money. They're going to do a lot of improvements. Fred, can you?
No, they're not going to do any improvements unless they can get somebody to come up with the money.
Okay.
And by that, the state's not interested in it at all because it's not bad enough. So they've got to come up with $2.7 million, and the way they get that is they've got to go to the GEs, the GMs, the BFIs in order to come up with that money. If they come up with the money, then they'll do the plan. If they don't come up with the money, it stays as is. That's the gist of it.
I wasn't there, and I'm glad that we have trustees here that were part of that. I wasn't at that meeting. But over the years, we've stayed really vigilant on the fact that we know that there was puddling. We know those old landfills were done prior to the new technology, the better way that they'd done them. And everybody, we go to county meetings and tell them about that near the meander watershed. So there's some sensitivity to about it, but I'm glad we're on board there. We had the fair display we want to finalize, and what we want to do that, guys, I think it needs a facelift, and the fire department took 2 panels. It took 2. Historical Society has their picnic. Is it okay if we give them a couple panels?
Okay by me.
Sure.
That's tomorrow.
Is it? Okay, maybe we can make that. That's all, Chair. That's all, trustees.
Okay, going on to old buildings. We got the lake bids finally. I kind of wondered whether we were ever going to get a bid for these. But we have 2 bids. Oh, excuse me, one from Ellis Construction and one from,
Johnny Graham.
yeah, John Graham. Goes by Johnny's Excavating. Well, we'll just compare them going down through.
And they use the same form, right? They use this.
Yep,
Filled in as
both on
line.
the same form.
Okay, let me get that
Starting down here, bid summary. Labor to clean out lake's upper edge as described. Remove material, install and cover up to 200 feet of culvert with removed material. Construct head wall, catch basin, and overflow piping. Finish grade both culvert area and disturbed areas of lake. Ellis bid $8,900 and John Graham bid $24,900. Option of labor and material costs for a 12-foot by the perimeter of the lake, which means we're going to run the material out 12 feet from the edge of the lake.
Well,
And all-
probably 6 in, 6 out. Just so you said it right.
What's that?
6 in, 6 out. Are you talking about the rock?
Yeah, no, for the, rock edging, geotech,
just so you
geotech
understand,
line.
instead of 12 feet out of the lake, and you make 6 in the lake and 6 out.
Okay.
That kind of thing, that's all. Just a point.
But all the way around, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad you did. And Ellis bids $7,800 for their using sandstone. Johnny bid $10,800 used for sandstone. Ellis bid $8,700 for using the riprap, which he calls limestone. And Johnny bid $14,900 for using riprap. Culvert material, only as previously described, 36-inch double-walled culvert. Ellis is $35 a foot, and Johnny's is $72.50 per foot. For all material for catch basin, grate, and head wall concrete, $9,600 by Ellis, $14,500 by Johnny's. And just so people know, all seeding of grass will be township's responsibility. All bonding, insurance, workers' comp will be the contractor's responsibility. All work to be completed in a timely manner to be agreed upon at the project's awardment, along with the completion deadlines pending any weather issues. All work will be conducted with all safety concerns addressed and remedied as per trustees. One thing that I didn't read in here, and it was ahead of is that the fire department is going to be responsible for pumping the water out. So there's no charge in this. We had also talked at one time about us furnishing the pipe. So,
How much was the catch basin on Ellis?
catch basin,
Well, that'd be all the material for, that's what she's asking.
$9,600, yeah, and it includes 200 foot of culvert, deduct $35 per foot.
I think what he means by that is if we don't go 200 feet,
There's a deduction.
that's the price.
That's the price for 200
maximum
feet.
For all 200, but we talked that we might not have enough material, we might only do 50 feet or 100 feet or something. So if that's the case, then you would,
Deduct
on
35.
both of them, you would just deduct the price per foot.
Yes. And you can I'll give you a copy of it.
Thank you.
So, open it up for discussion.
Well, in my mind, I thought it would be around $18,000, $19,000. That's more than I thought it would be, and this 12-foot perimeter of the lake is what we asked both of them. I think we might be able to do a little bit better on cost if we was to cut that down to 6 feet, 3 feet out of the water, 3 feet under the water. I don't, you know what I mean, instead of 12 feet. Because it does seem that the sandstone and, you know, we could probably chip that down, and I think,
Yeah. Well,
and it might make the project doable. If you walked around and looked at that area, that pavilion, and we'll get to the public comments, but we can utilize some things that if we give something to people back that really looks nice up there. It doesn't look nice now. The weed killing, I don't know, Fred, you got the cost, but somewhere around 400.
Oh, I forgot in my maintenance report, yeah, it was, some people want to just kill the cattails and leave the lake exactly like it is. That's the other side. That would be about $450 worth of chemicals per year for an estimated 3 to maybe 4 years to kill everything. And then in the meantime, they would all be laying there and plugging up the pipes, and you'd have to clean it out or whatever.
Plus it looked like crap.
Yeah, that's the slow chemical method. This is the quick digging out method.
More permanent and safe, because we know those cattails. And the cattails, we were kind of shocked at 6 feet of water. You know, I think everybody up here's probably had some experience. We're in rural areas, and I know Jim got a lake, and Lee and lake, but those cattails were in 6 feet of water, and they were 10 feet high if you figured to 6 feet and 4 feet above it. I don't know. These are super hybrid cattails. Yeah, those are. I mean, they're hybrids or something.
So, I guess the only the way we had them bid it all out was, so we had options whether we wanted to do the rock lining. We don't have to do that. We could. This is the top end of the package, doing everything. We can do bits and pieces or do it all. Go ahead.
Well, I think the only really option is whether we're going to do the perimeter, doing the rock.
Well,
I mean, we know we're going to do the clean out, and we know we got to do something with the dirt, so we know we're going to do that down there. So that takes care of those two. And then it's just a matter of what we want to do about putting the rock edge and the geotech lining, whether we're going to do that or not.
Excuse me. Artie?
And I think if we cut that in half, that's tweaking it some that may make it doable. That's where I thought would be, and I think I'm one say that would be something that may bring that number, you know, closer to that. I would think half that money would be $3,500 off that. We're still over 20 grand of it.
The only thing I would say, in looking at it reasonably, I would think if we lowered the lake a little bit and see what the edges look like and how messed up it is or isn't, that might determine how much we want to dig it out. Because maybe it's not as bad as we think it is, maybe it's worse than we think it is, I don't know. You have an opinion?
I look at it that's been there for 40 years and there was never any stone around it to begin with. So, you know, I personally, I don't think we need the stone, but that's my opinion. I go along totally with cleaning it out. I think what really needs to be done is whatever we do with it, once we get it cleaned out, we're going to have to do one of two things. We're either going to have somebody on purpose going in there whenever the cattail comes up and pulling it out, or we're going to have to do chemicals from then on and make sure that it doesn't get back to the mess that it is now.
No, that's just routine maintenance.
Yes, it's going to have to do some type of a routine maintenance.
Well, you know, we could always add the rocks or something you can add later just by draining it down a little bit and doing it if you wanted to. I don't know if that's an option, but what's the total package worth, you think? If you add it all
Mr. Ellis is $26,300 and Mr. Graham is a lot.
Did you just add all that in?
I did this in my head, and I need an abacus or a calculator.
Just triple it.
I know it was too many numbers. It's too many decimals.
Like 26,000, it's 26,300.
Here's what I got for Mr. Ellis. Mr. Graham is $25,000 alone for the clean out. And then it's $10,000 using sandstone, or $11,000. And then it's,
Yeah, but the only thing I'm saying, the concern I would have is, we don't know if we're going to get enough material out of the lake, I don't know, to cover any sizable amount of pipe.
Well,
Sure.
but he's telling you right there to deduct the $35
Yeah.
per foot, so.
Yeah.
This may come way down. We don't know.
Yeah,
We estimated, when we put that 200 feet, that was,
that's, assuming we had a lot of material at that time.
that was, how do we ever, that was the most.
right,
That was,
we figured it's easier to go down than go up.
yes.
Which I'm thinking we might get this in that $18,000 range, because I think it's only going to take 120 feet of pipe, and I think it's only, this sandstone turns into $3,600. And that might be worth the years of maintenance, just my opinion, and I think.
So if you cut the sandstone, if you cut the bottom number in half and cut the rock in half, where are we at with all that then?
Oh, yeah.
I have a suggestion.
4,800?
You already know which bid you're probably going to accept. Why don't you just make the motion that you're going to accept the bid for maximum price, and as the steps go on, determine what you're going to do. You know that's the maximum price at the end. So you're already asking questions now that you don't have answers.
We need the answer, yeah, I know, and we won't know the answers till we
Till
get
you
started.
start.
Yeah, I know. Good thinking, Larry.
Good thinking, but we need to determine what we want to make the maximum. I'm not
You
sure.
You got the maximum bid to do the job 100%,
Right,
the 26 grand.
yeah.
So that's my point. That's the max you're going to spend to have the job done 100%, but you already know you're going to take it step by step and eliminate some areas.
What is that new number if you cut those other ones in half?
I didn't do it.
No, did you come up with it?
Yeah.
You cut it in half?
I came with 4,800, and then half of it's 7,800, $3,900, it's $8,700 if we cut that in half. 87, 0 plus 89, 0.
16, 17,000, something like that. We already saved money.
Well, I'm just saying, though, that
Yeah.
you're accomplishing the same thing.
Well, we're
You're
just,
awarding the bid as a maximum.
we're just trying to make it more pleasant, that's all, on spending money. So,
I think we can award with the contractor chairman, and I think we can talk to him about where he can bring those numbers.
yeah, I think it'd be easy to work with
I
on
didn't,
that.
I didn't hear your comment. Do you want to do the stone?
Well, how much of the project is the stone, the new way? If we cut in half?
$3,900. $3,900.
We should get, I don't know, is there any way we can approve the max like Larry suggested?
Yeah,
and
we
then
can approve anything we want.
We can tweak it a little bit as we
And
get
if it
going.
doesn't come in at that, then he doesn't do it, that's all.
Yeah. So if we approve it for the, how much would you think?
26,300?
No, we're not
Yeah,
gonna.
that's too much. I mean, we'd have to sell it.
Yeah.
We know we need the cleaning.
Yeah, that's what I said, you've got to do
So
that.
we're somewhere between 9,000 and half, and cutting the other stuff in half is what, 18,000, right?
Is the stone for beauty or for stability?
Yeah, and to filter that from happening in the future. It kind of
So
does.
it's not for looks, it has a purpose.
Yeah, it's functionality, but it does give it an aesthetic that we won't, we're visiting this in a year, we won't have to get somebody in the lake, and we won't have to clean it, and we have to spray.
Now, one thing that we didn't talk about, that maybe the stones have a factor into, we kind of, the slope is very steep, steeper than we thought it is on the edge of the lake. Within 10 or 12 feet, it goes down 6 feet. So considering that, and you're going to have the public there and everything else, is that a concern? It seems to be a little steeper than we thought it was, that's all I'm saying.
All I'm saying is that lake was like that for 40 years, and
We
nobody's
haven't
had a
lost
problem.
anybody yet?
Nope.
Well,
That's all I'm saying.
Falling from the cattails. They can grab onto the cattails.
We couldn't paddle through them. Two
Well-
grown men.
I'm saying, I guess
little
what
kid
I would
would be.
suggest is, I'm still up in the air about the stone thing, you know, I could probably go either way, depending, I'd like to save money if it's not needed, if we don't, you know, don't spend it. But I guess we should come up with some amount, we can get the project going and then decide on the stone as it goes. Is that appropriate?
Yeah, why don't we do that, Fred?
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
We'll talk to the contractor and say, you know, mobilization, I don't think it's an issue. He's next door, where the other guy would be mobilizing.
I know, and once we drain it, we'll look at it and say, oh geez, you gotta have stone, or no, it's a waste, or whatever. Is that okay with you?
Yep. So what do you want to,
So what's our,
what do you want to
What's
do?
the number?
Maximum of 18,000?
yeah, and then we don't, and that's cutting the pipe in half, assuming, we're cutting the stone. At least we'll have the money, say we see more dirt, and we want to get rid of the stone and add on the pipe, we'll have a little flexibility either
Well,
way.
let's put it this way. If you drain it and you dig the dirt out, then you can go ahead and know what you're going to cover. And then you can find out whether you've got the money for the stone. And if you don't have the money for the stone, adios to the stone.
That's what I said.
Larry's smart.
So I'll go along with that.
Okay. Just with a little, we're approving a max amount and using oversight, right?
Okay, somebody make the motion for the maximum amount. I'm all
I'll make
for
the
it.
motion then to do the bid, do the lake project and award it to Ellis Construction for a maximum of $18,000.
With option to adjust it.
Yes, with options to adjust.
Okay, I'll second the motion.
Trustee Tum.
Yes.
Spellman, trustee Tum.
Yes.
Trustee Houston, yes. Okay, finally, that one's going. Got that one moving. Okay, now, parking lot. We've got a bid request. I'll just read it real quick so that everybody understands. It's a base bid, prepare and resurface the existing asphalt parking lot areas and access roads, total area approximately 4,728 square yards. Clean and prepare the area to be resurfaced, including milling as required, and so that no water drains towards the buildings or existing concrete or puddles. Apply a number 407 tack coat at a rate of approximately 0.1 gallons per square yard. Pave the prepared areas with 1/2 inch asphalt scratch leveling course. Install pavement overlay, pavement fabric, trace ling asphalt fabric, 3.5 ounce per square yard, and we got a spec sheet for that comes separate as per the manufacturer's specifications. And we're asking that they must have a minimum of 5 years experience with this asphalt fabric installation. Then we resurface with 1.5 inch of 404 asphalt wearing concourse and line stripe parking, and that'll be determined by us at a later date on how to do it. And then an alternate bid is to straighten the edge of the parking lot on the southwest side of the property, total area approximately 90 square yards. And that would be excavate the existing lawn area to require elevations. And all of the material that's excavated will remain in the township. And construct an 8-inch aggregate base. Millings from existing parking lot may be used at the excavated new pavement area. Pave the prepared area with 3 inches of 402 asphalt base course, and then surface with the 1.5 inch of 404 asphalt wearing course. The alternate bid 2 is extend the parking lot area on the east side of the parking lot. Total additional area approximately 210 square yards, and it's the same specs as bid 1. Note that the county and township inspectors must be present at time of construction, and payment due upon completion of job and township's acceptance.
So that's our bid criteria?
Yes.
For the
Yes.
parking lot at the
Yes.
fire station?
Did I understand that all the asphalt grindings will remain here then?
Yes. And they'll take the asphalt grindings and use them
Sure.
where we add space.
Extend some of our parking.
Do they
right?
know
That
where
what
the
you're saying, Fred, right?
Yes, yes.
Should we tell them where the extensions would be? Maybe, was that clear?
Well, what we're going to do is everybody, when you put 2 rows of cars there and stay out of the fire department, it's too close. So we're going to extend that, and I think it's either 15 or 20 feet. I don't remember which it is.
20 feet.
East, so that now you can put 2 rows of cars there without any trouble. And also, any of that dirt that they take out stays with the township.
Good.
So we're not paying it to take it somewhere else.
And I said if there's any additional, we'll go to the other end of the parking lot and extend
We'd all-
that by the
if
maintenance.
If bids came in low, we would try to go the other way, towards the lake a little bit, because we do want to use our pavilion a little more. We have a nice resource there that isn't being used, maybe for graduation parties or whatever. So we're going to clean it up, and make sure it's marketed to the public right. Okay?
Okay?
How are you, is this going to be over 50,000? And
Oh, yes.
so we're going to advertise for legal bids?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. This has to be.
And can I, when you're
Yep,
done, can I
yep.
look at that?
We kind of looked at it. We're probably looking somewhere around the $80,000 range.
We hope it's closer to 50. And how are we paying for this? Out of what?
It'll come out of the,
Is that the
it'll
road?
come out of the gas tax.
Chair, now this will go out, there'll be 3, we're asking them to give the bid on each of those, and then we'll look at those numbers. We can make the decision when we receive those.
Yes.
Maybe what option we want also, not just that who's got the best price, but being that we see those numbers, we may kind of do what we did tonight and say, right, we'll choose option, what we have bid, base bid, alternate bid, and alternate bid 2. We may do that, right?
Right.
Okay.
We're trying to...
That's why they're being spec'd separately.
Yep, okay.
So do I have a motion to put this out for legal bid?
Yes, do we have to put any time frames on here, by any way? Is there any?
I think we should have them back so that they're back by the next meeting. Next meeting is July 9th, that's a Wednesday, so they ought to be back by July 7th. So we have 2 days to...
Is that too quick? What's the...
Are you
3 weeks?
opening them at the meeting? That's how, when we did the legal bids on the fire department cement, we opened them at the meeting, remember already?
Yeah. And the only thing, you had brought it up, Fred, before, is that we don't, we don't run this simultaneously with the lake job, so.
Yeah, this will be after the lake job.
So maybe we'll award it, we look at it in July, and maybe work, and ask them to begin work August, the end of August or something.
Yeah.
Do we have to build anything in so procedurally we don't have to accept a bid if we don't like it? We always have that right to,
Yeah, you have the right to reject all bids.
yeah, for whatever reason.
Physically, we can't do it at this time, or we
Okay.
chose not
I mean,
to?
it's not an obligatory thing.
And we'll open them at the meeting, Fred, then you're saying that July?
Yeah, but we want to make sure that they're, I mean, you don't want to put the deadline of July 9th on it, because
No,
I say that they should be in-house by July 7th.
I agree, but I was just asking for a point of information.
I have no problem
Is
with
that
it.
enough time for everybody though? Because this is the busy season and I don't know. Well, if we don't get bids, we can always extend it, or can we? Or we're gonna
Well,
advertise it.
the reason this is, though, is if you don't get them to bid it now, and they do get busy, they're not going to be able to do it. So you've got to get them to bid it now, you know what I'm saying?
Where they schedule their work and...
Yeah, you can't wait until September and ask them to do this, because they're going to say, we're booked. So that's why I want to, I feel that if anybody wants to do the job, July 7th is giving them plenty of time. If they're not really wanting to do it, you could give them until August 7th, and they're still not going to do it.
I think July 7th is a good date, and I think that's fair.
Okay.
We just get it out as quickly as we can.
Yeah, well, you can put it out and normally they have to go someplace to pick this up, or do you put this actually in the paper?
You know, I don't know, because I've never done a legal announcement like this. So I'm not,
Can't they just be emailed if they requested, if we have a contact address maybe?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Do we want to make Matt our contact?
Yeah, what you do generally in these is you say that they can be picked up during their normal business hours at the Ellsworth Post Office, during their post office hours. They'll be marked there, or at the maintenance office, and you can leave them in a certain spot, and they're usually like in an envelope that they return that we get, that's all. And I suggest we buy some manila envelopes and put them in, and they pick them up at the post office, or I think they could be an agent
Be
for
picked
us.
up. There's no problem with telling them we're going to put it at the post office without asking her ahead of time.
I don't think it'd be a problem, but I could also leave them in the garage in the tray,
could you
and
put
she
them
could
on
go
the
in there and
website?
get them.
And they could download them?
Yes, we could do that. We could put this under the maintenance on our website too.
And
Yeah, I
then they
think it'd be
could
easy,
just
'cause
download
that
them.
hurdle about having to come and pick something up, it's much
Yeah,
easier.
yeah, they can.
Much
Yeah,
easier, any time of day or night.
Sure.
yep.
Okay.
Just put make sure you put our website.
You know why they do that? Sometimes they want a contractor motivated to get up off his butt and go get the job if he wants it. That's the little trick behind the logic. Now,
Well,
now everybody's like this.
Well, we can do it both ways. You can say
Yeah,
that
that's
it'll
right.
be available at the maintenance department.
Yep.
Or online at
There you go.
ellsworth06.com
There you go.
under zoning, under the maintenance.
Is Ohio spelled out, or is it OH?
No, Ellsworth, Ohio spelled out, .com.
.com. Under maintenance.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who made the motion? Anybody? Not yet.
I can make the motion as a prepared bid sheet in the options that we put this out for the public notification for contractors to give those levels of bids so we can review them at the July 7th meeting.
July 9th meeting.
So
July
then
9th meeting by July 7th, right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll second the motion. Good.
Trustee Spellman?
Yes.
Trustee Tillman?
Yes.
Trustee Eason? Yes.
Okay.
All right, the only other thing that I have is a while back, we talked about carpet and one thing another. And one of the things that was brought up was Frank Morrow said that carpet could be cleaned, and he gave us a price on how an area could be repaired and one thing another. I'm just wondering, is the best way to start with this, and he told me that it'd be around $250 to clean it. Should we spend the $250 and clean it and then go from there? And let's see what it cleans up like. If it don't clean up, then we know we have to replace it. But if it cleans up and is nice, then we can go on.
Are you sure you're right on that number? I had in my head it was 400, but I don't know. Did you?
He told me it was $250.
Does that include patching?
No, that's just cleaning.
Well, and the only other concern I would have is, we're talking about doing this air conditioning thing, and part of that is replacing the ceiling tiles, and we're gonna be all over the place.
Well, the ceiling tiles are going to be done before we clean the carpet.
Well, but if we're gonna do the air conditioning, which requires...
Removing ceiling tiles.
Get
You're
up in
going to have
there.
new ceiling tiles up there, and you're going to be removing them to climb around.
There's a lot
up
of
there, and
pipes
break
to
them
run.
and damage them, so...
Then you don't want to do anything with the carpet.
Well, unless you wanna get it cleaned up for the next few months, because we're not
Yeah,
doing air conditioning.
$250.
And that way, it's an experiment, that way we'll know if it works, and if it doesn't, we can schedule the replacement later.
What about this carpet?
Are you talking this carpet or?
Up there.
This
Look
needs
at
it
this
too.
one?
Well, we did.
That's not clean.
That's been taken care of.
Oh, okay. I missed it.
Now,
Somebody didn't even want to do it.
I have a point here.
Yes.
Who owns the carpet cleaning?
Bergen or somebody, Bertan or somebody.
No,
Is it Frank?
No.
Okay, because you know you can't do business with him.
No, Mr. Moore is not in that business anymore.
Okay.
No, it's not Frank.
It's a separate company, not, okay. That's fine then. That's all I want to know.
I'm a little nervous here. We just spent $100,000 and I haven't sat in this chair and we haven't done that in a long time. And potentially. So the $250 sounds real doable and it's perfect. It really sounds good to me right now.
Well, then I'd like to make a motion that we spend the $250 and get the carpet cleaned after the new ceiling tile are up.
Well, that's not gonna happen until fall. Air conditioning.
But we didn't say we're going to do the air conditioning.
Well,
We've got the
you're
new
right.
tile.
You're right. We were just, but I mean, if we're gonna be doing double work, taking it down, putting it up, if we're gonna do the air conditioning, I'm just saying.
The point
I
is
worry
the
about
carpet.
you're gonna damage new tiles up there, because once you start popping them in and out, you know,
Hey, can we put a tarp down? Everybody wants to use this thing, and the next we got graduations. I think it looks pretty bad right now.
So I
$250
think let's do it now,
Let's
whether
do
we
it.
do
Then whatever happens, happens.
I don't think that we're gonna ruin it by
You're
changing
overruled,
ceiling
Fred.
tile. No, it's just a thought.
No, I'm with Fred on just clean it, let's clean it, and
I'll make a motion then that we spend the $250 and get it cleaned
And forget the ceiling tile.
for right now.
I'll
Okay.
second that, Chair.
Then we'll see what the,
Sure.
okay. Trustee Spellman?
Yes.
Trustee Tillman?
Yes.
Trustee Houston, yes. I'll have to get the name. He
Oh,
gave me the
that's
name,
fine.
but I don't remember what it is.
Okay.
Do you remember who he said? It's a steam cleaning, it's not the normal, yeah. But I don't
the
remember.
school uses the same individual, or the same company.
Hold on a second. Let me see if I can.
Okay.
Oh, he just said, I know the owner and talked to him about it.
All right, all we're
He didn't-
concerned
he
about as
didn't-
long
yeah.
as it's not Frank.
No, it's not Frank.
Okay.
I know it's not Frank.
Or anybody else that is a related party.
No.
Okay.
Okay? Well, we've done all that. Now, any new business?
No, I didn't have any this time, Chair.
All right.
No.
Announcements. Next regular meeting will be July 9th at 7 o'clock. And we'll go into for the good of the order. We'll start at the back. Becca, anything?
Just when you get these companies and their bids, does anybody check like Better Business Bureau and just, I mean, even though they may be cheap, are they reputable? I'm just worried if anybody checks into that.
Yeah, their background, yeah, they'll be checked.
And Rebecca, I think most of them have a bonding insuring level that, a performance, a surety bond associated with almost all those companies doing
I would
something.
like to think we're not just chasing cheap price, we're using a little thought into it too.
Yeah, there's nothing saying that we have to accept the lowest bid.
Right, right, no,
Good point.
Thank you for your question.
Shelley? No. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Lee's sitting back there. I missed you, Lee.
No.
Yeah, I would like to say, I guess the trustees are aware of the zoning commission meeting tomorrow night. I recommend that all three of you attend. George Smergan is meeting with them, and they're at some of the input from our meeting we had on June 5th, and they're going to turn it over to the trustees without adding any specific recommendations or a timeline.
Excuse me, Lee. How do you know they're not adding anything? That meeting hasn't been done tomorrow night, so how do you know what they're going to do?
Because they didn't want to accept adding recommendations when we had the meeting here.
But you don't know until after their meeting what they're going to do. So you cannot sit there and tell what they're going to do.
Well, they indicated they weren't going to add specific
They may have
recommendations.
indicated it, but you said they're not going to, and you cannot do that until after their meeting.
Okay.
Unless you've looked into your crystal ball.
No, I did not, but anyway, after tomorrow night, my understanding is it'll be in your hands and out of theirs.
That's my understanding too.
Okay.
But I do not know that for a fact because they haven't done it. They could decide to have another hearing. And I personally told them that that was their choice, that it was put into their hands, and however they wanted to handle it, and once it goes to us, we'll handle it the way we want to.
Isn't the
But
land
it's,
use
it's,
plan the
but it's
same
two separate entities. I personally, as a trustee, don't want to go in there and tell the commission what they should be doing. When it comes to me, now I've got the right to say what I want done. But until that point, I will help them all I can, but I don't think as a trustee, I have the right to go and say, you should do this, or you should do this, or you should do that. That's what they were put on there to do. We appointed them to do that, and to help them, fine. But we don't need to be telling them what to do. That's my opinion. The other two trustees can say what they want to, but that's my opinion.
Well, a workshop is supposed to be for creating a final product. And you're saying the trustees don't want to be part of creating the final zoning commission product.
If I was to go, like we did the last time, as a resident, that's fine. But I'm not going to go to their meeting as a trustee and say anything as a trustee. That's not where it should be done. Like I said, we all have the right to be in that meeting as a resident. And we can put our input in as a resident. But we're not going to go there and I'm not going to go there and put my input as a trustee, because that's not right.
I didn't say as a trustee, I'm just using you because you have a title of trustee. As a resident, Fred Houston. As a resident, Bob Tillman. As a resident, Artie Spellman. I would suggest you go to that meeting.
Well, if I could just say that we can go, but if we all go, we can't talk much, okay? Because it becomes a meeting amongst ourselves. So we can go listen, but if we can't, if you're looking for input, it just can't happen unless we have a meeting, because we're all together.
I understand the dynamics of it too, but I'm saying this. Whether we ask the commission, because we hired a consultant who I think is doing most of the leading at those, and I think the commission has had input, I think when you hand something quickly out of your hands and give to the trustees, I don't think we were that much part of it. Now we're dealing with it. I'm saying that in a land use plan, more people in the room about this is better than less people in the room. To give it to 3 people and not have targets on how to implement the plan, targets on dates, targets on how this thing can be used to drive some of the grant processes. I even have some things, I could go down through things, and once we have it, then I'm accepting something that they don't want or they're done with. And I would love them to be in the room with me. That's how much I think about my commission. But I don't think having these, I'll give you the timeline. April 3rd, June 5th, done. June 11th tomorrow, what is tomorrow? 12th?
12.
It's out of their hands and it's in our hands. Wow. Wow. That happened fast. And I think that people should have something to say more about it. I could ask 30 more questions the other night, but I was already overrunning everybody else in this room. I'd love to ask more questions, because I don't have enough answers to it. I'm not comfortable enough to say this is final. I'm really not. And that doesn't say anything about the commission, doesn't think I'm a team player. I'm always a team player, and I always compliment my team and pat them on the back. We have 2 new people on the commission, we have a new alternate, and we have a consultant that seems to be the one that says, we'll be done with this next week. I don't know how I got so on the fast track. You've been like herding cats up till now, and all of a sudden this thing's going 100 miles an hour. Why?
What objections do you have to the land use process?
Well, we didn't talk about how...
What do you have? Do you have specific problems with this, Artie?
No problems. I want input, and I want other people to have more input about it. That's all I want. No, it isn't already got a problem.
And once it's turned over to us, we can have as many meetings as we want to have.
The 3 of us.
No, with the public.
Hearings.
No, they're meeting until you finalize, then you have a hearing. I mean, they aren't hearings until you finalize, then you have a hearing.
No, once it comes from them,
You're talking meeting versus hearing.
we'll have public hearings on it, and we can have as many as we want.
Before you finalize it.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, but then the burden's on us. I would love to have 6 more people in the room that says, how are we going to control this? How are we going to monitor this? How are we going to implement this thing? What's the process and tools that we have about when you say that that's a business corridor, that we have a sewer extension we're only talking about there, that this plan could say, we're not going to do that until we have interested parties that want to be a participant in that. Those things would drive those things. Those would put you in line for a grant. Those things would give you time to collect statistics, collect data, in order you to do those things.
Okay.
They're not done in here. They're not even mentioned.
What Fred's saying is the window's not going to be shut, and you seem to be saying that it's going to be over and we're not going to have any choice. Is
In
that
a
the
way,
case?
yes, because once they're done with it, they're done with it.
Yeah, well,
And then the burden's on you guys. You can't send it back, because now you're going to
oh
create
yes,
the
we
whole...
can. Oh yes.
Yeah, you can
Yes,
look at it.
when it comes to us, we have 3 choices. We can accept, we can modify, or we can reject and send it back.
Wouldn't it be easier to let them take everything up front first, like Artie said?
No, I think Larry, what you're saying, I think we need to do this a little bit more, just slow it down a little bit more. We need to find quick. We need our zoning inspector. If we say we got a final draft tomorrow night, if we have a final draft tomorrow night, our zoning inspectors attended 2 of the meetings and 1 of the public meetings, 2, maybe 1 of the meetings, that public meeting the last time. And the God love the man, he gets his vacation. I hope he gets to take one, and I hope he had a nice time. But there's the first line that somebody's going to go ask. He's a very intelligent man, but I tell you what, he'll look like a dummy sitting up there. When somebody else carries a piece of paper in there and says, oh, so you finalized the draft. What do you know about it, Trustee Spellman? Well, I know we don't have the tools to control it. I know it says there. I know it doesn't say how we monitor it. I know it doesn't say how we carry it out. I'm only going to the first page. I can go more. I think that we need to slow down and talk about this a little bit more before we let Mr. Samarigan leave the room and our commission. That's all I'm saying. I'm not disagreeing with him.
Couldn't that be accomplished by us rejecting it potentially if we don't like it, sending it back and telling them to keep going?
Waste of time. Get it done with them first.
Well, but the whole thing is, then the commission feels like they are done with it. All right, so now we're going to say, oh no, you're not done with it, you got to do this, this, and this.
Okay.
That's getting into exactly what I said I didn't want to get into.
I understand.
The last thing I would tell my commission, you have to do this.
But you are saying that.
I sat in that chair and I said, how are we? Are we comfortable enough? Do we know enough about it? Does he know enough about it? Do we have things that drive the economic things that we want to see get done with some of these things? Do we have those in place? I would really love to take 6 intelligent people with an alternate and help me with that, with an expert consultant we have, and do that now rather than to say, oh, hold on a minute. What'd you guys give me? What'd you give me? King Pooba wants to change everything now. No, I want to be part of a team that does this.
Okay. So knowing where we're at now, how is that done?
I don't know. There could be more input from the public. We have a commission member here, and I'm not going to put them on the spot. We have people attend regular meetings, and they can pick one side. I'm being passionate about it because I know how long. And I did give compliment to trustees in 6 months are trying to do this. There's no mutiny with me and my commission. None. I just frustrated that I'm not understood about this. There's nothing here that says, how does this work to drive these economic things? Does it give us a basis to collect data and align ourselves with this? How are we monitoring things? Why are we doing this now? A percentage of these people didn't even know the first thing about it. And we're ready for a final draft.
It's not final.
Fred, you're right, but why do double work?
Well, as far as the commission goes, and this is what I'm saying, Ms. Tripp, they walk out of the room. Then it's on 3 people and a person here that doesn't know enough about it, and this person doesn't know enough about it.
I think there has been confusion from the very beginning. My opinion, and I've sat in on these meetings and in the zoning commission meetings, I don't think the zoning commission had a clear understanding of what their job was to be. Because at one time, they were saying, well, it's the trustees who are supposed to take the lead on this. And then somehow it got flipped around, and the zoning commission started
And I
working
missed
on
that
it.
part of it too.
with
See, I don't
George.
know when that happened.
I don't know when that happened. So,
Mr. Morrow read that and defined that to me at the April 3rd meeting, which I was like, what?
and I mean, this is the first time that I'm understanding what you are looking for, and believe me, I don't think anybody on the zoning commission realizes the detail and the additional information that you are expecting. I mean, I think they felt they had a public meeting, they took the input from the public, they're going to do another draft. To me, I don't think they're doing a final. I think they're going to do one more draft based on the information they have collected from their public meeting and from the consultant. They're going to then turn it over to the trustees. For you, then you can form another committee, another board, because I've heard comments like that being made, that you all want another committee. You don't want that's another thing I've heard. You don't want the zoning commission to do this. You want to form a committee, a special committee with farmers and architects and all of that, and let those people, working with maybe one member from the zoning commission, one member from the trustees, and that group does the final. But part of that process includes more public meetings. So I think I think the zoning commission has done what they think they're supposed to do. I don't know, that's my observation.
A couple things. My understanding was that you make this land use plan and then you design your zoning regulations to work within the land use plan. Now, I asked that question of members and George, and they all said yes. Now, I'm real confused here tonight because I thought that what you guys would get was the plan, and then it went back to the zoning board, and they said, set up the zoning regulations or to match that plan. Or am I misunderstanding?
Well,
No, that's my understanding, is that the plan is the basis then that you put your zoning on,
Right.
all right?
So what the zoning commission then is saying is that this is the plan they want to submit, or whatever they tweak tomorrow night.
It's my understanding that the draft that they turn over to the trustees is for then the trustees to add their input, their tweaking, get the public more involved, form a committee. There's many more steps, is the way I see it. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but where should this be considered a final draft? I mean, that's my opinion.
that's the words I keep hearing, though. With the consultant we hired, said, we should wrap this up, telling the commission member, we should wrap this up by next week and we're done with it. A commission member said, we'll get this out of our hands and it'll be in somebody else's hands. And that's what Mr. Morris said last meeting, and being kind of facetious and funny about it. And all I'm saying, when people look at this and then you have a bunch of changes on it, that's expected. But to not say that we've a review committee, a site committee, or a land use committee would be part of this, or not say that we're going to, instead of designated areas, we're going to look at those areas that can possibly be in a business corridor or zone business too. If there's an extension of infrastructure, those are the types of things I'm looking to put into it, not that, and you know what, I'd rather have more people in the room than less people, because I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I'm really not.
Don't you see, then, once it's turned over to the trustees, then don't you see all of those critical issues, more meat being added to the draft? Or, I mean, don't you see that as the next step?
I think I'm going to see a commission say to me, You've changed a lot of things. Why'd you change them? You should have come to the meeting and you should have said something now. Because I heard that yesterday.
Yeah.
I could have talked for 3 hours there yesterday. And I'm talking now. I could have talked for 3 hours because I had a list of questions. Long list of questions.
Well, why don't would you consider submitting that to George Smirgan and say, look, as a trustee, this is kind of what I thought you guys were going to do. I never heard, at the zoning commission meetings, I never heard any of the things that you're talking about, Artie. Never.
And believe me, I want to know more, and this
Why
is...
is it my turn?
You had your,
Go ahead, Chair, you can have it. I'm done with the floor.
I agree with
but
you,
Fred
Artie.
is right, there's two separation of powers here.
That's right.
You don't, you're right, Fred.
Yeah, you don't step on their toes.
Right.
They're put in that position. We appointed them to do
Correct.
that.
Correct.
Now, if we want to give them some direction, that's one thing. But I don't think we should go there and start telling them, this is what you have to do, and this is what you have to do, and this is what you have to do.
I didn't say that one dang time, and I never have in any of the meetings. I don't understand what the posture I'm putting in because I'm simply giving a strong opinion about some things that I see should be there that weren't even discussed. I see people that are going to be involved with this thing that don't know. I see people involved that don't know enough. And that includes me.
Well,
And I'm telling people what to do? I don't get that part of it. I really don't.
Artie, you're right, Fred's right, but how do you get everything resolved now?
You slow it down and have a couple more discussions, and you get in the same room, and you have meetings of the mind, and
Don't
you...
talk to me, talk to Fred.
I'm talking to the public, and you're...
Jim?
We intend to talk a lot more about it.
I can tell you this, that the commission members, from the get-go on this land use thing, wants the trustees' input. We've wanted that all along. I wouldn't say direction, but maybe a little bit of direction, but they wanted your input of what you'd like to see in there. Now, we have come up with a very rough draft, and the thought was, how detailed should it be? How vague should it be? I will say our consultant, Mr. Smerrigan, felt that it should be somewhat vague and let the resolution take care of some of the details of how to implement some things. But tomorrow we're going to go over this rough draft, and we're going to see what Mr. Smerrigan put in there from the June 5th meeting. And this will end up being rough draft number 4, I believe. We've had 3. Now it's going to be 4. And in fact, one of the suggestions I was going to make tomorrow, that I'm going to make, is that we call it a draft. There's a watermark they have on that thing, and unless you use a colored printer, it doesn't show up. If you use a black and white printer, it looks like the draft. And people who have seen that black and white copy think that that's a final draft that's going to be turned over to you, or final document that's going to be turned over to you. It's going to be a rough draft turned over. But whether it's going to be turned over after tonight's meeting, I don't know that.
And that's what I'm saying. Until tomorrow night, nobody knows what is actually going to happen. You could sit there and say, oh, well, we've got to have another hearing. And you set up another hearing. I don't know.
I'm going to relay some of these comments tomorrow, and I can tell them that you don't want to direct them to do something. You never have. I don't think they have the opinion that you were going to direct anything, but they were looking for a little bit of input, a little bit of direction, how much more detail should be in the land use plan. And as a matter of fact, I have some ideas on adding something to it. I shouldn't broadcast it, but I'm going to try to meet with someone in North Jackson. I need some information that I would like to have added to the land use program that might be helpful information in the future. And maybe some of the others will have an idea too, but I'm not so sure we'll have a final rough draft. And we do consider it to be a rough draft when it's given to you. And I think the commission considers that there'll be enough room in it for you all to put all the input you'd want to put in it, pick it up, take it running, and make it your own. And I'll tell you what, you need some recommendations from the commission. They're more than willing to do that. They're more than, and you're right, it's a team. And I think that the majority, I think it's unanimous that the commission feels we are a team. All of us.
Right.
Because if we do it wrong, the stones are going to hit everybody. And I agree with Artie, the poor zoning inspector. He is going to be the first line that gets it. So it is a good idea that we get it done right. And I personally, just personally, I'm not talking for the commission now, I do personally think that we shouldn't rush to something just to get it out of the way because there's more important details to do, like paving the parking lot and giving me all the fish out of the lake.
That's it. Well, I don't think anywhere along the line anybody has said about rushing. You know, like I have said, you guys do your job, and when you're done with it, it comes to us. And if we want to back up and start over, that's our choice. Then we take yours. It all comes back to, accept, amend, or reject.
Do you want to do it without their help? Do you want to do it with us? Or who's on our team then? We took part of the team. And
We can put anybody on our team.
Well,
we can get
then
anybody
now
in the
we're
room.
hearing some of the things I'm saying. Are we going to form a commission? Are we a committee? Are we going to put more people in the room about this? Are we going to?
I don't know, Artie, until I get their plan.
Well,
If their plan comes to me and I am totally satisfied with what it says, then I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
If Bob is satisfied,
we're
and
leaving the
if you're
option
satisfied, we do it. If some of us are not satisfied, then the three of us say, okay, here, what can we do and how do we do it?
I don't, since they're giving it to us, I think they're still part of the team. I don't view that you're giving it to us and go washing your hands.
No,
And if you give it back to us, you have one commission member who welcomes that.
Do you think the others will?
Yeah, he felt
Yes, I
it
did.
could
Yes,
be-
I did.
Yes, Lee.
He did make a statement that he felt it could be wrapped up in one more meeting.
But I'm sure he'll be glad to keep
But
working.
I didn't hear yay, and I didn't hear okay, and all of that. He made that statement. Yes, that's true.
And that's his